I'm Scott. You may not be familiar with the name Scripps Networks Interactive, but I'm willing to bet that you, or your wife, or your mom has watched at least some of our content. I'd like to start with a short video that shows you just who we are and what we do.
Let's do this.
3, 2, 1, action. I love the smell of cameras in the morning.
Now we're cooking.
Our team is so creative, so knowledgeable.
There's always this mixture of excitement and anticipation.
Here we go.
Hey, there's a big, wide, wonderful world out there waiting for you.
I've been to over 170 countries, logged over 2 million miles, and I always find something new.
We're gonna eat dessert now. He doesn't get to eat anything.
You can find us everywhere.
Everywhere.
It's this really special blend of information and entertainment.
Go! It's all about the possibilities.
Perfect.
This is what we do.
This is what we love.
This is who we are.
I know you like it.
All around the world, we create great content for every platform, every single day. And early next year, after our merger with Discovery Communications, we'll be one of the largest original content media companies in the world, with 50 brands, 7 billion digital content streams monthly, and over 8,000 hours of original content every year. I'd like to tell you a story. About 3 months ago, an internal business partner of ours, this guy, Peter, he comes to us with a problem. He says, I need help with my on-prem render farm. We say, absolutely. Just one question. Exactly what is a render? So think of rendering as compiling. That video that we just watched, and this example here, this Property Brothers example, these are renders. And they can't be watched until all the filtering, all the transitions, the color corrections, the animations, the effects, all of that stuff has been compiled, if you will, into a high definition video that you might see on there. And Peter's designers, well, these are the type of renders that they tend to work on. They require massive amounts of CPU and sometimes takes days to complete. So he goes on to tell us that he wants his designers to increase their productivity and the quality of their renders, but as they submit more and more renders to the on-prem farm, well, they just can't keep up. So then he says, guys, I'd like you to build something in the cloud, something that can handle the overflow work of my on-prem render farm. Sort of a hybrid on-prem cloud solution. And we say, Peter, you've come to the right place. Now, I'd like you to remember that bit about him wanting the hybrid solution, so I'm going to come back to that in just a few minutes. So next, I go to one of my very best engineers, this guy, Jason, and we talk about what Peter wants. I ask him to come up with a solution. He thinks about it, and he does. And this is the solution that he comes up with and builds. He takes ThinkBox Deadline render management software, and this is software that Peter's designers use for rendering. It also happens to be owned by Amazon now. And he combines that with the standard AWS services that we all know and love, Spot, EC2, S3. And he stands up this scalable, maintained Spot fleet of render slaves that Peter's designers will first submit these low-resolution renders to. They're used for proofing and testing. They're about 1/2 to 1/3 size, the full resolution renders. And then they tweak it, they play around with it, and once they're satisfied with it, next they'll submit the full resolution render to Deadline, which will launch another Spot fleet. Now at this point, the designers have some control over what size Spot fleet they want. Let's say it's a low priority render. They don't particularly care how long it takes to render. Well, they might submit it to a 20 node C4XL fleet. On the other hand, if it's a high priority render that absolutely has to be there overnight, well, they might submit it to a 50 node C4 8XL fleet. In any case, once it's completed, Deadline will cancel the fleet request, and all the nodes terminate. Jason has it completely automated, and with a simple press of a button, it can be stood up in any region. Now, with the exception of some creative hackery around the spot fleet configuration, there's nothing particularly complicated about that architecture. In fact, I'd say it's a beautifully simple solution to a simple problem. But that's not the interesting part of our story. The really interesting part of our story is what happened about halfway through the POC. One of Peter's designers, this guy, Michael, he gets a render request for a C4D walkthrough of HGTV Dream Home Giveaway. Now, he gets the request on Friday, and it has a Monday deadline. Now, it's complicated. It's going to take about 48 plus hours to render this thing on-prem. So, on Friday afternoon, he gets it ready, and he submits it to the on-prem fleet, the render farm. Then he goes home for the weekend, and he comes back on Monday morning to find that, lo and behold, the job had failed. And he was not happy. You see, he was not happy because it takes 48 hours to render this thing on-prem, and there was no time to resubmit it before the Monday deadline. But then he gets an idea. Why not submit that very same render job to the cloud POC, the POC render farm that those cloud guys have been working on? And he does. It takes less than 2 hours for the job to complete. He was really happy at this point. Let's take a look at a snippet of that render, shall we? Now, you can see it's pretty complicated. There's lots of shadows. There's a lot of heavy detail in this. The lighting, there's a lot of color corrections. 2 hours for a render like that, that's really fast. That's more than really fast, it's supersonic fast. You know that part I told you to remember in the beginning about Peter? When he came to us, he just wanted a hybrid solution. All he was asking for was help with the overflow work from the on-prem farm. That was 3 months ago. Well, 3 weeks ago, after this incident, he comes to us and he says, guys, I want everything in the cloud. I want my render farm, I want my workstations, I want my storage. I want my designers to be able to work on this from anywhere on the planet, and I don't want anything on-prem. I'm all in. He actually said that almost word for word. So what's next? Well, we just completed a POC using GPU instances as workstations, and the designers find that the cloud workstations perform far better than the on-prem workstations. They really love it. Right now, we're in the middle of a POC using GPU-enabled AppStream for the same purpose as workstations, and it looks very promising. So, what made the difference for Peter? Well, it was 2 days versus 2 hours at supersonic speed. That's what made the difference. And that's our success story. Thank you.